Okay, good morning all. This is TriScrum podcast powered by triscrum.com. My name is Venkat and Arun is also joining me for the second series of this podcast talking about team coaching competencies. Hello, Arun.
Hey, hi Venkat. Good to back on recording the second team coaching competency.
Yeah, so as we promised, we're going to talk about the team coaching competencies first, and then followed by we go on to the business coaching competencies, wherein we are going to bring in a lot of business capabilities into the play, and then followed by the leadership coaching competencies. If you find our podcast helpful, please subscribe by clicking the bell icon so that you can get notification about our events. So let's start with one of the competencies we're going to talk. For that, I'm going to share my screen. So today we are going to talk something interesting, which is maintain authentic distance. So while we put this competency as a part of team coaching, we were having a lot of dilemma again whether we should put maintain authentic distance because it is going to slide towards professional coaching. But in agile coaching, should we really maintain authentic distance? Both of us have got convinced that yes, we do have to maintain authentic distance in agile coaching as well to enable self-management in teams. And that's when we got convinced to bring in that as a capability under the team coaching capabilities. So we're going to talk about maintain authentic distance. In my view, around maintaining authentic distance is actually going to improve your presence as a coach, right? Because you're going to be not only physically, present with the team, but mentally also you're going to be present with the team, which means there are a lot of hotspots, which I used to call, right? In neuro leadership, we used to call it as hotspots. For example, you walk around into the mall, you get a lot of distractions, right? So you might have 10, 20 Wi-Fi's on your mobile phones, and you don't know which one to get connected on. Similarly, when you go and approach a coachee, what's going to happen is there are a lot of hotspots that is going to come in front of you. And one big trap of that is if a coachee is going to share some stories, if that happened in your life by chance, you're going to relate, oh, this also happened in my life. I'm going to connect this back. So instead of serving the client, you're going to get overwhelmed with that emotion and you're going to totally get detached from the conversation, right? That's not going to really serve your clients well. And that is the reason we bring this authentic distance as one of the competencies. When you go and approach people, you need to be fully present. You need to be really, really giving your best to them so that they feel respected and they are going to share a lot of insights to you. And that might help you in serving them better, in my view. So, what's your take around on this maintaining authentic distance?
Absolutely. It's like you said, from a coach point of view, how we need to be present, giving it back to them, putting the team at the center, and then creating them. I got this word from a recent book or somewhere I read, non-threatening space where the team can be vulnerable and then be themselves. And like you mentioned in the neuro leadership coaching, so I've gone into your relationship coaching where they talk about every voice in the system, every voice in the team is telling you something that needs to emerge. For that, as a coach, we need to maintain an authentic distance for those voices to emerge, and that is going to create some insights, which is going to take the team along. So, yes, absolutely. Maintaining authentic distance is a very, very crucial part as part of the team coaching competency.
Yeah. So, I'm going to share the Agile Coaching Competencies page while we talk about this topic more. As you can see this, we are trying to put up a lot of competencies under Agile Coach Competencies. You can go over the website and see. And under the team coaching competencies, we are talking about maintain authentic distance. Soon we are going to release content, which is evidence-based and also going to help coaches, right? So before I talk something more about this maintain authentic distance, Arun, I'm interested to know about your perspective on how do we do that, right? Many people might ask us, okay, it is fair that we want to really maintain authentic distance, but how do we do that? Do you have any tips for coaches?
It's interesting that the whole spirit of agile revolves around collaborative spirit, right? So how to make the team collaborative, and but in the pressure of delivery or so much constraints that you have in the organizations, the agile coaches get lost into that world, and then they get into more of too prescriptive and directive approaches, which is fair at times because that's the constraint that they live in. So now realizing that as an agile coach and then trying to take a step back, and then creating some sort of a self-awareness for yourself, as you said, present there as a coach, believing that you're going to help them by making them understand what they need to do, right? So that's the way that I think. Tip, as you said, being self-aware first. So try to, rather than getting so many tools to help the team, try to improve your self-awareness as a coach so that you think twice before you answer something or tell something. Hey,
Wonderful.
is this going to be useful to them? Do I need to say this here? Just take a step back and one step, try to see, ask a question. Hey, what is that you can think of here for this situation? Try to put that, get that perspective, one perspective from them, and then probably you can very well give your solution or whatever you have in your mind. Yeah, that's the tip that I would really suggest.
Very
to
nice.
coaches.
I wanted to share one of my experiences, right? Of course, I failed a lot when I was trying to be fully present. There were a lot of hotspots that might come in the way and might distract my coaching conversations as well. But we all get better when we do something repeatedly. It's not going to come from the day one, right? In my experience, what really helped me was you need to develop genuine curiosity, right? You should not be asking people just for the sake of asking questions. Hey, I'm an agile coach. I need to ask some questions now. Only then they would move towards the solution stage. No, if you're really, really genuinely curious with people, your questions are going to emerge in the conversation, right? People might say, don't ask why questions, don't ask this questions. You need to be very asking open-ended questions. I do agree, but sometimes being natural really helps. If someone is stuck, you might probably ask them some curious questions so that that is going to move the needle. And of course, you need to consult as an agile coach, but you may do that, those stances maybe simultaneously, in my view. You may take a coaching stance, you might come back to consulting, again, you might go into the coaching stance. That is really possible for experienced coaches as and when you practice. So the other story that I used to share in all my classes, right? For example, one of your clients coming down and saying, today my bag was pathetic and literally everything got messed up at my home. You cannot say that what is the outcome you're expecting in the conversation, right? That might really, really going to put your coachee to the offensive mode. You need to be really curious. The whole day was bad, but you managed to, deal with that. How do you feel about that after managing it? So you need to really be present with them. And that's what we are trying to say. Authentic distance means you need to be present at the same time. You're not going to get into the boundaries that is going to defeat the self-management. So in the case of individuals, it's going to be distracting their thought process to think. And in case of teams, it's going to be maybe taking away their self-management capabilities. So there is a slight change. When you coach your teams, you need to be really, really making sure. I like one of the stories from Netflix, right? So you cannot expect people to be bringing candor into the workspace unless you build that workspace. The density of the workspace, the density of the workforce is very, very important. Similarly, before you try to maintain your authentic distance, you need to have some ground rules. So in coaching, we used to say coaching agreements, and in team coaching environments, we used to say team coaching agreements.
Yeah.
So I try to create some strong team coaching agreements that would help the team. How are we going to come together when we mess up things? How are we going to come together when we are having tough conflicts within our teams? Those are the stuff that might be a prerequisites for you to maintain authentic distance with your teams, right? From the day one, if you're trying to maintain authentic distance, enabling self-management is really good, but try to inspect and adapt your approach based on the context that you're operating. So in my view, context is everything.
Absolutely, yes, yes.
Yeah.
So just picking on the words that you said, at times people feel that agreement is it needed? Maybe that's where again, coming from the ORSE background, so we call it as an alliance there. So rather than agreement, create a team alliance. So
That's a
you're
good word.
together, you're going to create something and see how it's gonna come up. Yeah.
Yeah. And one thing before we close today's conversation, I would like to add in my experience as coaches, we might be pushed to the corner always. I need results. We need to be seeing results when we hire you. Yes, you got to deal with that pressure. You cannot cascade that pressure onto the teams. So the way that you are able to balance that, the temptation to do consulting versus trying to help people discover their own solutions, by blending these two is what going to make you as a great coach.
Absolutely. Yes.
So I hope these tips are useful, and we're gonna put some more tips aligning to this on the website. So try to go to triscrum.com and go under the Agile Coach Competencies. You're going to see a lot more competencies coming up in the next webcast. So before we close, Aruna, I wanted to thank whoever is watching this podcast. If you find this useful, please give us feedback. If you don't find this useful, give us feedback in the comments. What can we do to make this better? Because we are a company that really wanting to build community of good agile coaches, and this is one of the initiatives we are trying to do at a free of cost. So I hope you enjoy the webcast. Looking forward to seeing you in the next webcast. Bye.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone. Looking forward to your feedbacks as well. Thank you, Venkat.